Hello, my name is Kreepeetz, but you guys can call me Peetz. Welcome or welcome back to the channel. And this is my review of the new Guillermo Del Toro Frankenstein 2025. It's bad. It's bad because it sets a new parameter for movies. But jokes aside, we are here to talk about the new Guillermo Del Toro Frankenstein, which I have watched 2 times in the last 24 hours. I also watched a documentary about the movie. Needless to say that I'm a little bit obsessed about it. If you guys are not familiar with my film reviews, I usually try to keep the first part of it spoiler-free, and then we jump into spoiler zone. I have a lot to talk about the movie, and I'm super excited to do it. So without any further ado, let's start talking about Guillermo Del Toro Frankenstein. Assuming that not everyone knows that Frankenstein is a novel written by Mary Shelley. It was a classic gothic horror literature. Very good book. And there were several Frankenstein-inspired stories, like first one that it was in 1910, and then you got like another one in 1931, The Bride of the Frankenstein in 1935. You also got some inspiration of Frankenstein in the Rocky Horror Picture. You have the Monster of Frankenstein in Van Helsing's story. You got the Frankenweenie, which is basically a patch take of the Frankenstein story by Tim Burton. You got the classic Frankenhooker, which is a comedy slash trash horror movie. Then you got Lisa Frankenstein, you got Reanimator, and you also have Pretty Little Things. And these are just some movies that are heavily inspired by Frankenstein, right? They are all different. They all have like a different take on the story, on the original book. But one thing they have all in common, all of them are very distant from the original story. Just an example, you may be familiar with the very famous scene that everyone knows about Frankenstein, which is when Victor Frankenstein finally gives life to the monster and he goes like, "It's alive! It's alive!" If you read the book, it's not there. And I promised myself that I would finish the book before watching the new movie because I was super excited. I'm a huge Guillermo Del Toro fan, and I was super excited to know if this would be like making justice to the book or not. So I finished the book like a month ago, and now I'm recording this. The movie came out on Friday, and I watched it yesterday and today again. And I gotta say, I don't have a score for this. In my opinion, it's almost like how it should be. It's by far my favorite take of the Frankenstein story. In the general topic, I don't see flaws in this movie. Yeah, I'm not saying that the movie is perfect. Guillermo Del Toro was able to stay faithful to the original story, that is a book story. In my opinion, most of the key moments that were supposed to be in the story were there. Some a little bit different, but I did like what he did, like some changes that he made with the story were actually interesting and gave life to some characters that in the book they are kind of like, they're there, they are okay. So I feel that they were able to get a very good balance of the original story by Mary Shelley and what Guillermo Del Toro wanted to put in that movie, right? In my opinion, all the key moments that are there are essential to the story. There are some key moments that are missing from the original story. As I spoke to a friend of mine, I was like, yeah, if he was to put every key moment that we think that should be there, he would end up making a movie that is like 3-4 hours long. And this one is 2 hours and 30 minutes long. It's a slow burn. I would say that the first third of the movie is really intense. The second third of the movie brings you like down a little bit. Not down in the sense that you get bored, but it's a totally different approach when you are navigating those waters, right? It's a very meaningful part. And what I felt is that like the feeling that you have on that part, on the second third of the movie, is the same feeling that you have on the second third of the book. So like the story that is there, it's literally the same feeling. You get a totally different feeling from the first part. And then when it builds up again to finally wrap it up and finish the movie, right? Very good ending. In my opinion, very good ending. I would even be bold to say that it pleased me more than the ending of the book, especially because I cliffhanged myself when I was reading the book. You know, when you have like the special things and the things after the story ends, I thought that those were still story of the book. So like when I finished the book, I was like, when I finished the proper story, I was like, oh, there's still more. So let me read that. And they were not proper story of the Frankenstein. In my opinion, gothic masterpiece. Like we just got out of Nosferatu. I'm kind of glad to be alive and be in the same timeline that we watch the new Nosferatu by Robert Eggers. And the Frankenstein by Guillermo Del Toro. Like, for real, if those are things that I could put on my wall, I would just hang them on my wall. I would say that like the adaptation, it was so good, and I could relate so much with so many things that I cried twice. So photography, as you guys know, Guillermo del Toro is known from a very, 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 very good color grading and light work, right? In this one, surprisingly, they tried to keep the light source as always being like one light source and just some feelings that people would not like recognize. There's just some stuff like a feeling would be like a stuff that, like, let's say a light coming here just for the camera to be able to capture some shadowy details. But it's not something that impacts the scene itself. So you'd be like one light coming from here and that's it. That's what we understand without filming knowledge, right? They did such a good job with that. They did such a good job. The movie has like several timelines, and each timeline has its own color grading, which goes perfectly with the mood and the feelings that are happening. Colors were used in a way that I love. They are very meaningful. The colors of the characters are used in a very, very meaningful way. You're gonna have like characters that have a specific color and that represents something. Like everything has a little meaning. And there are like scenes that you're gonna see like someone just leaving that one color behind, which means that that thing is not belonging to that anymore. I'm trying to keep vague. We're gonna get into details later. But overall, the color grading is just fantastic. Fantastic. They went for like a moderately cold as usual, because Gothic literature always like asks for a code. And when the moments are warm, they are really, really, really meaningful, because are moments that you actually enjoy. You have some enjoyment. The warmth is very, very well used to represent enjoyment in movies, and in this one was like the usage was absolutely perfect from start to finish. Soundtrack is one of my favorite topics to talk about. I used to be a music composer for film and advertising, so I really love talking about this one. Even though the soundtrack is not outstanding, great in this movie, and by that I mean like something that you're gonna like keep recognizing, like Interstellar, for an example, that you have that in your brain, or some soundtracks that you literally are gonna have like the main theme playing in your brain. It's not that case, and I think that was super wise of the composer, because that movie didn't need that. The composer said like some scenes didn't require a soundtrack. They were strong enough without a soundtrack. For the other ones, we were there to enhance the emotion of the scene and bring more to the table. And they did it. They did it perfectly. There are some moments that like even the soundtrack is clashing with what is happening on the screen, and you just get a super, super, super conflicted feeling, which is good for what is happening at the moment. Alexandre Desplat, which is the composer for this movie, did a very, very, very good job. And I would say that a humble job. Because a lot of times, like, musicians are gonna get with their ego boosted and be like, I am making the work of my life and I need to, like, show that. The casting. Guys, the casting of this movie was superb. It couldn't be better. Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein. Amazing piece of work. I gotta say that every emotion that this guy is supposed to have as Victor Frankenstein is just so raw, so on your face. The whole movie is just like, you know what he's feeling. And like, sometimes I would even say that you know what he's feeling when the character doesn't know what he's feeling. You know, like the thing that you know, like you're like in denial. You do not know that you're feeling this pain yet. And the character is showing that. Victor goes through like a very, very, very huge spectrum of emotions throughout this movie. So it was very, very well portrayed. Then you get Jacob Elordi as the monster. I have seen this guy in Saltburn. That was the first time that I've had like contact with this actor. And I was like, okay, this guy is good. I like this acting style. And I discovered that it was him after watching the movie. I was like, who is playing the creature, dude? Insanely good. In the documentary, you can see that he took classes of the Butoh dance, which, as far as I know and is told in the documentary, is some kind of like dancing that like relies a little bit of like how an undead person would move. So he took classes of that to learn how to move. And I gotta say, he has a very, very, very menacing yet gentle in part of the movie. That is the moveset of the monster. You just get like, oh my god, it's such a brute. yet you can see how gentle it wants to be. The noises, the voice, everything so good. Then you get Christoph Waltz as Harlander. He plays a major role in the movie. His character has a good development, and he shows that super well. Then we have Mia Goth as Elizabeth, and that was a character that surprised me so much because I was already expecting very good acting. I wasn't expecting the kind of acting that she has and the kind of character that Guillermo Del Toro assigned to Elizabeth. It's a very strong character, it's a very bold, it's a very authentic character that adds a lot to the story, and I would say that he adds a lot of balance to the masculine energy that you have there. Mia Goth by herself carries the whole feminine energy in that movie, and she does that perfectly. Now I'm gonna put together production design, costumes, CGI, and practical effects, okay? The costumes were so beautiful, like so beautiful. I want to have like all of those costumes for myself, and they add so much to the story. Like, they are Victorian in essence, but they are modern. They speak so much. They are not just there. They have signals. Like, the mother is always going to be wearing red. Victor is always going to be wearing black. But eventually, Victor uses black and red as well as some kind of bond with his mother. Elizabeth is always like full of color, which also translates her love for in the movie. So you have a lot of like key colors and key costume designs that carry that and add to the story. It is such a meaningful thing. And talking about special effects, I am super passionate about practical effects, right? I am super passionate about practical effects. One of my favorite movies, it is The Thing from the 80s that I absolutely love just because of it's so heavy on the practical effects. And Del Toro shared this love, and this love was very well shown in the movie. Like, you gotta have like miniature models to have realistic scenes of explosions and stuff like that. You're gonna have massive building studios and like things that were able to move from here to there just to be able to have another scenario like in matter of minutes. And this is all shown in the documentary, by the way. You guys can watch that. There's this one scene that displays a lot of corpses in the lab, and the corpses were all there physically. It's just shocking. Like, when you see that, you get like, oh my God, you know, because it has meaning and it's palpable. You can feel that. It almost like brings energy to the scene. And it's still on the practical effects. The ship that you see at the start of the movies and in the trailers, it's a real ship. They have built the ship in a parking lot, and all the machinery for the movements of the ship is all in a parking lot. So it's like a huge movie prop. Like, what? You do have like some special effects, like some gore stuff that is added to the movie, which is pretty gore, I would say. Some CGI, like some computer graphics design. It's good. It's not bad. It's not the best one, because especially don't need that. There are some movements that you feel that like are a little bit like artificial, but like it's still, yeah, for real. It doesn't ruin the experience at all in the slightest. Like, it's literally like just one or two scenes that you can be like, okay, I know that that's CGI. Like, it could be a little bit better, but like, I really don't care. It's okay, it's here. And for the non-spoiler part, that's it. It's an amazing experience to watch that. I'm really sad that this didn't make to like a lot of cinemas and movie theaters around the world. I don't know why, like around me, there was no movie theater playing that. But it's very enjoyable on the TV. I suggest you play that with your home theater and like a very good sound, because it really enhances the experience. I'm lucky enough that I can black out my living room, so I was like basically in my own cinema here. It wasn't like a huge screen, but like, you know, it's a very good experience and a must-watch movie for sure. Even if you're not goth or gothic, it's a must-watch movie that is definitely going to make you reflect upon what is to be human, your values, and the way that you treat people and the way that you were treated by the world. Like, if you are a misfit, you're gonna definitely feel a lot of things, and you're gonna definitely like see yourself in the shoes of the monster several times. So it's a movie full of meaning. Every little piece of that movie is gonna touch you in some way, visually, in words, or in sounds, it's a masterpiece. I would say that it's a masterpiece. Like there's, there are flaws, of course. I don't see how this could be better. I would even be bold and say I don't see how a Frankenstein movie can be better. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys click with my vibe, consider liking, subscribing, dropping a comment. It really helps the channel to keep going. I also stream on Twitch on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, all right? If you like this shirt, you can use my code for 20% off on Punkrave. Hope to see you guys on the next video. Last but not least, don't forget to drink your coffee and catch your light everywhere. Bye.